Book of Matthew, chapter 5, is where Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach, began his teachings. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, starting at verse 1. But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his taught ones came to him. And having opened his mouth, he was teaching them. Having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, now this is chapter 5, and he's teaching start at verse 2. And he's going to be teaching from chapter 5 to verse 2, starting at chapter 5 to verse 2. He's going to be teaching all the way up until chapter 7, verse 28, where he ends his teachings. So this is where we're going to be reading from. He's going to be teaching from chapter 5, verse 2 to chapter 7, verse 28. What up, sis? I see you. So this is chapter 5, verse 2. And having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, so this is what he's saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the reign of the heavens. That means the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they shall be filled. Blessed are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. Blessed are the clean in heart, because they shall see Elohim. Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called sons of Elohim, sons of God. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the reign of the heavens. Theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are you when they reproach and persecute you and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. So those are the blessings that you receive when you demonstrate the demonstrations of the teacher, when you follow the lessons of the teacher, when you follow the teachings of the teacher, when you follow the examples of the only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. So blessed are the poor in spirit. So poor in spirit meaning you have humility. You're humble. That's support. That's having poor. That's, when you remain humble, that's demonstrating that you are poor in spirit. That's the demonstration of being a child of the Most High. Mourning for others. Mourning for others other than your family members and your friends, just mourning for others. That's another demonstration. When you mourn, you'll be comforted. When you're poor in spirit, when you're humble, you'll gain access to the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. So when you're meek, when you're friendly, when you're, when you're approachable, you will inherit the earth, which the kingdom of the Most High, the kingdom of heaven will come. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake. That means you hunger and thirst to be obedient. You hunger and thirst to be righteous, which is you hunger and thirst to be obedient. Blessed are the compassionate because they shall obtain compassion. When you're compassionate towards others, you obtain compassion, not only from others, but from the spiritual realm, from the Most High and His only begotten Son and his messengers. Blessed are the clean in heart, because they shall see Elohim, they shall see God. When you're clean in heart, you're demonstrating all the above. You're demonstrating humility, being poor in spirit. You're demonstrating mourning for others, having empathy, being compassionate. You're demonstrating, being friendly, approachable, easygoing. You're demonstrating being obedient, righteous. This is see the Most High. You're able to see Him with your spiritual eyes, not with your flesh, not with your fleshly eyes, but your spiritual eyes. You'll be able to see Him in all that He reveals Himself in, and only you you must tap into this breath of life spiritual child within in order to know what that means, to know, to recognize the Most High when He reveals Himself in all that He reveals Himself in. He'll reveal Himself to those who showed Himself to be spiritual children of His. Blessed are the peacemakers because they shall be called children of God, children of the Most High, children of Elohim. Those who are peacemakers will, when you're a peacemaker, when you make peace with others, when you make peace amongst others, when you make peace between others, you're showing yourself to be a spiritual child of God, a spiritual child of the Most High, a spiritual child of Yah. Blessed are blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake. That's for righteousness' sake, when you're persecuted for being obedient. Not just persecuted for just doing you or being a certain way, or you being, a certain race. No, when you're persecuted for being obedient to His instructions, when you're persecuted for being obedient to His Son's lessons, His Son's teachings, His Son's demonstrations, when you're persecuted for being obedient to His spiritual government. His spiritual government comes with spiritual law. Not talking about what people call laws of Moses. Those are not laws of Moses. These are laws of the spiritual government, the Most High, His government. Those are His laws. Those are not laws of man. Those are not laws of Moses. They're laws of the spiritual government. And you have to pay attention where some laws were, some of His spiritual laws were what they call in the court terms. They were altered. To his only begotten Son came along and basically became the ultimate sacrifice. His only begotten Son came along and also became the spiritual congregation, the spiritual assembly, the spiritual church, the spiritual building that we gather in. We gather in His name. So the rituals and the buildings and the temples, all of that has became the Messiah, His only begotten Son. The sacrificing and all that became His only begotten Son. So that's the only thing that differed in that's the only thing that differed in His spiritual laws of His in His spiritual government. So with that being said, blessed are it says, blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, for being obedient, because theirs is the reign of the heavens. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Why do I say righteousness' sake? Because to be righteous is to be obedient. How do we know that? Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20 to 25. If you can write that down, leave a note for yourself. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20 to 25 teaches us what our obedience, what our righteousness is. Our righteousness is obedience to his instructions. That's what our righteousness is. So that's, that's what our righteousness is when we're obedient. This is book of Matthew chapter 5. We're going over the teachings of the teacher, the only begotten son, Yahushua HaMashiach, his teachings. He's the teacher of teachers, the leader of leaders, the Messiah, and he taught from chapter 5 to chapter 7. And that's what we're going over. We're going chapter 5 to chapter 7. So this is where we are. We're in chapter 5 verse 10. Now we're in verse 11. Blessed are you when they reproach and persecute you and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. So he's saying for his sake, for his teachings. So this is not for just anything. You can't overlook, you gotta take in every word that was said by the only begotten Son of God. You can't take anything what the only begotten Son said himself. You can't take it lightly. You can't overlook it. You can't let it go over your head. So, and you have to keep his every word in context. So keeping his word in context will be reading where it says, blessed are you when they reproach, meaning correct, and persecute you, and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake, meaning for for what he's teaching, meaning for what he's demonstrating, meaning for what he's leaving as an example, meaning for what he's teaching as what he left as lessons. This is what this means. This is not for whatever sake that come to your mind, or whatever sake that you got going on, or whatever sake, people persecuting and saying false words against you just for you doing you. No, this is for, you're only blessed when they're persecuting and falsely saying everything, like, every wicked word against you, if you're doing what he instructed you to do, if you're doing what he taught you to do, if he, in these teachings where he's about to teach us. So this is only for his sake, not your sake, not for any old sake. He says to rejoice and be glad when this happened. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward in the heavens is great. For in this way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So in this way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So this is a clear example that the prophets who were before us, were demonstrating the teachings, the lessons, and examples of the only begotten Son that he's demonstrated all through Matthew's, and that he's teaching us from chapter 5 to chapter 7 and so on. So this is a clear example that the prophets of old, that people try to basically disregard the prophets of old and what they did and what they taught and what they followed, is like an old world and is something that's just obsolete. This is what people who just don't understand the scriptures, they do. They separate this so-called Old Testament from this so-called New Testament. And this is a clear example that the prophets of old were being persecuted for the same things that the only begotten Son is teaching us. So he says, rejoice and be glad, because your reward in heaven is great. For in this way, meaning in this way that I'm teaching you, in this way that I'm demonstrating to you, in this way that I'm leaving as an example, in this way that I'm leaving as lessons, in this way, they persecuted the prophets who were before you. They persecuted the prophets who were before you for this way that I'm teaching you. That means being humble. They persecuted the prophets. Let's go from the top of chapter 5. This is the way. This is the way that they reason why they persecuted the prophets. They persecuted prophets for being humble, poor in spirit, and having access to the kingdom of heaven. They persecuted the prophets for mourning for others and being comforted by the spiritual government. the Most High and His only begotten Son. They blessed are. They persecuted the prophets of old for being meek, friendly, approachable. They persecuted prophets of old for being obedient, hungering and thirsting for righteousness' sake. They persecuted the prophets before us for being peacemakers, clean in heart. So you gotta keep in context what they persecuted the prophets of old for, so that you know what not to get it twisted and think that you're being persecuted for doing you. No, it's not doing you. You only persecuted and blessed if you're doing Him. You're doing what He taught, doing what He demonstrated, doing what He left as an example, doing what He taught in His teachings and His lessons. And He is the only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's who He is. So you have to keep this in mind, keep this in context. And this is what the prophets of before us were persecuted for. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt becomes tasteless, how it be? It says, if the salt becomes tasteless, how shall it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. So you are no longer of any use. This is how you become the salt of the earth. You become the salt of the earth by being humble, being poor in spirit, like he told us in verse 3. This is chapter 5, by the way, chapter 5 of the book of Matthew. Verse 3, his first lesson was to be poor in spirit, to be humble, to have humility. So you are only the salt of the earth when you demonstrate this humility through being poor in spirit. You are only the salt on the earth when you mourn for others. You are only the salt of the earth when you are meek, approachable, friendly, easygoing. You are only the salt of the earth when you hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake, meaning obedient. You are only the salt of the earth when you're compassionate, have empathy for others. You are only the salt of the earth when you are clean in heart, when you demonstrate all of the above, all of those, attributes, all of those traits. You are only the salt of the earth when you're a peacemaker. You are only the salt of the earth when you're a peacemaker. You know what I mean? So this is the salt of the earth. But if you're not, you become tasteless. If you're not any of those things, you become tasteless. And how should, it says, how should it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use. So you're no longer of any use. You're no longer of any use to the Mashiach, to the Messiah, if you're not humble, if you're not poor in spirit. You're no longer of any use to the Messiah if you're not mourning for others. You're no longer of any use to the Messiah if you're not meek and you're not friendly. You're not approachable. You're no longer of any use to the Messiah if you're not obedient. You're not hungering and thirsting for righteousness' sake. You're no longer of any use to the Messiah if you're not a peacemaker. You're not compassionate. You're not clean in heart. You're no longer of any use. You're no longer of any use of His. You're no longer of any use of His. So it's like, for it it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and be trodden down by men. Because if you're not demonstrating these attributes, if you're not demonstrating these traits of the Messiah, which is humility, being poor in spirit, mourning, being meek, obedience, compassionate, clean in heart, peacemaker, if you're not demonstrating this, you're doing the opposite. And so you'll be trodden down by men. You be ate up by the world. You'll be ate up by men. You'll be doing them, and that'll be your demise. Now we all have the flesh to battle against. We all have the flesh to fight against. We all have the flesh to deny and starve and deprive. We all have flesh that wants to do the opposite of all this is required, all the traits and the teachings of the Spirit. Basically, these are attributes and character traits of the Spirit within you. It's the flesh that's on the outer that wants to do the opposite. It's the flesh that wants to do the opposite. It's the flesh that wants to go against these lessons, that go against these traits. Keep that in mind. So you are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain. What does he mean by that? Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket. What does he mean by that? Like, if you're the light of the world, if you're obedient, and if you have these character traits of the Messiah, which is humility, mourning for others, being meek, hungering and thirsting for righteousness' sake, being obedient, compassionate, a peacemaker, you can't hide that. You can't keep this to yourself. You have to be the light of the world and let that light shine to others. You have to let others see this. You have to demonstrate that to others so they can see and do. This is what this is saying. It says, let your light shine before men. Let that light shine before men. Let them see your humility. Let them see you poor in spirit. Let them see, let that light shine of humility, let that light shine before men so that they see your good works. These are the good works. These are the good works. What are the good works? What is the light? Humility, because no one is humble. Little to no one is humble. Everyone is arrogant. Everyone is boastful. Everyone is pride. Everyone is proud. Everyone is flexing. Everyone is, petty. Everyone is just, just like putting in everybody's face that they're this and they're that. So that's all darkness. So what is the light? What is the light in darkness? The light is humility. It's like, wow, he's humble. That stands out. When someone is humble about what they've done, humble about where they are, who they are, humble about what they went through, what they've gone through. When someone is humble, poor in spirit, they're not trying to be up in your face about it. They're not trying to be in everyone's face about it. They're not arrogant. That's rare. That's light. That's light in the darkness. That's light. That's rare. That's light in the world of darkness. So that's what stands out. If you notice, everyone looks at that and be like, "Oh, that he was humble." Any and everyone can respect that. If you notice any demonstration of humility, it's respected by anybody. Any demonstration of humility is respected by anybody, no matter who they are. They may not even be humble themselves, but they can respect humility when they see it. They can respect the humble person when they see it. When humility is demonstrated, it's respected by everybody. Whether they're evil, wicked, good, humble, arrogant, all people, all walks of life respect a humble person. So this is why it's the light. Here's another one. Mourning for others. When you mourn for others and you didn't even know a person, or you're mourning for a people that you didn't know or you have no ties to, that's a demonstration of the Spirit. That's a demonstration of the spiritual child of God within you. That's the demonstration of the only begotten Son. That's rare. That's a light. That's another thing that stands out. That's why that's the light of the world. So when you do that, people see that and they notice that. They're like, wow, you don't even know these people. You don't even know this person. Why are you mourning for them? That's rare. So that's why that's a light. That's why that stands out. That's why people of all walks of life notices that. So when you do that, you're giving hope. You're inspiring others to do the same. That's why he said, let the light, you're inspiring. He wants you to inspire others to be humble. He wants you to inspire others to mourn for others. This is what this is about. This is what shining your light is about. Let your light shine before men so that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. He becomes your Father when you're demonstrating this light, because This is the demonstration of his only begotten son. So he becomes your father when you're doing what his only begotten son did. When you're doing what his only begotten son taught, when you're doing what his only begotten son demonstrated, when you're doing what his only begotten son left as an example, when you're doing what his only begotten son taught as teachings and lessons, that becomes your heavenly father. That becomes your spiritual father. He's not your father. You only have a father in the flesh if you're doing what the flesh does. If you're following with the flesh and you're only, demonstrating the character traits of the flesh. And we all have those. We all have flesh and we all demonstrate those character traits. But it takes the breath of life spirit within us to tap into being spiritual children of God through the teachings of the only begotten son, the only begotten son of God. To deny our flesh. And let me not get too far off, but this is what makes the Most High your father, is when you demonstrate these character traits: humility, humble, poor in spirit, mourning for others, empathy, being meek. So here's another one: when you're friendly and you're meek and you're approachable. If you notice, like, for example, not all celebrities are like this, but when a celebrity is humble enough to be, they're approachable. They can bring themselves down to earth and let you approach them and ask questions and get whatever it is, a picture or autograph. That's respected. If you notice, all people respect that because it's like, wow, they're approachable. They're an approachable person. They come. It could come to. I could come to this person even though their status is this, their celebrity, this and that, but I can approach this person and they wasn't standoffish. Now, it's just a regular person did that, it won't be noticed, it'd be overlooked. But what I'm saying is, that's the example that I'm trying to make, is basically we all should demonstrate being approachable. All should demonstrate being humble enough so people can approach us and ask questions and talk and be friendly. Not it's not about being over friendly or trying to trying to impress somebody. You know what I mean? No, it's just like you're giving everyone a chance. When you give everyone a chance to speak and talk to you and have conversation with you, that's what that's what he's asking us to do. He's asking us to humble ourselves to be that. So that's a light. That's being a light in the world. That's shining. That's shining your light. May y'all bless you. May y'all bless for the loves. Thank you. Thank you for pulling up. Thank you for, showing up, pulling up, visiting, stopping by. May y'all bless you. So this is the light. This is how you shine your light. Let your light shine to others so others can see your good works. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, good works is this, and good works is that. Listen what the Messiah himself say about good works. The Messiah himself, the teacher himself, the leader himself, the only begotten son himself, the only one we should be following, the only one we should be learning from, the only one we should be, examples that we should be, following, his lessons, his teachings. This is what he say about good works. Good works is obedience. Good works is compassion, which is where we're going to move on to next. So we know that the light of the world is humility. The light of, letting your light shine is showing humility. Letting your light shine is mourning. Letting your light shine is being meek, being friendly. And also letting your light shine is to be obedient, because he's saying those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. You hunger and thirst to be obedient. That's how you hunger and thirst to be righteous, is to be obedient. How do we know that? The definition of our righteousness is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20 to 25. That's where we find the definition of our righteousness. So we know the definition of our righteousness is obedience. So when you hunger and thirst to be that, and not trying to find an excuse around that, trying to find a way around that, trying to find a loophole around it, try to make it as though it's obsolete and is no longer required. May y'all bless you for that. Appreciate that. when you're not trying to find a loophole around it, and you're not trying to get around it, you're not trying to, you're not trying to downplay it, obedience, which is required. You have to obey spiritual, or the spiritual government. The spiritual government is the government of God. You have to obey this. It's easy for you. It's nothing for you to obey the world government. So why is it a problem? Why is it an issue to obey the spiritual government of God, the spiritual government of the Supreme Spirit? You have to bring yourself to obey this spiritual government. You have to bring yourself there. It's no getting around it. No loopholes. It's no justifying. It's no scripture to justify or back it. I don't care what you think our ancient brothers said. What did the only begotten Son say? What did the only begotten Son say? What the only begotten Son says is, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, and let your light shine before men so that they see your good works, which is the righteousness, which is obedience. Let's move forward. Let your light shine before men so that they see your good works. What else is this light? The light of, your light is being compassionate. That's your light. Not everyone is compassionate. Not everyone is compassionate. So it's like when you demonstrate compassion, it's rare because not everyone demonstrate compassion. Not everyone cares. Not everyone has empathy. Not everyone not everyone can demonstrate compassion because not everyone cares. If it's not someone they know, if it's not someone that they know, if it's not someone that's their family, they don't care. If it's not somebody that's their family and it's not somebody that's, their loved one or their friend, or, they don't care. So when you demonstrate compassion to someone that you don't know, when you demonstrate compassion for someone you don't know, when you demonstrate compassion for someone that has no ties to you, that's rare. That's letting your light shine. That's letting your light shine. So when you let your light shine, it's like there's no comparison because everyone else are, they're too focused on themselves. You know what I mean? They're too focused on what they have going on, what they're about, who they're about, their people. You got some really wicked, you got some really dark people in this world. People that just don't care they don't care about anything. You know what I mean? And it's really, they don't even recognize how messed up they are. They don't, it's almost like a illness. It's almost like a mental illness. How sad people, can be. How, and we all have the flesh to demonstrate these same ways. But most people, they wear this like a badge, they wear it, with no shame. They say things and they do things, and they don't have no shame about it. These are people who have given into they're fully given into the ancient knowledge of evil. They fully given into their flesh. And they can't think that they don't even know that they're being used by the ancient knowledge of evil. They don't even know that they're a puppet for the ancient knowledge of evil, doing the ancient knowledge of evil's work. So you can't even argue with people like this. You can't even reason with people like this. They have no understanding, or they can't grasp the spiritual matters. They can't grasp the spiritual, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding because they just so influenced by wickedness in the ancient knowledge of evil, and they think they know things that they don't. Like it's just But that's all I can describe. Simple-minded people. So it's like you can't really shame them. They don't know no better. It's like a kid. It's like a child that you that you can't even you can't even fault them for doing something wrong or doing something that they didn't know. If they you can't fault a person to, for what they don't know. They don't know any better. They only know what the hate that's been passed down to them. They only know the disgust, the thing, the character, the poor character traits that's been passed down to them. They only know that. They only know, what their parents demonstrated and what they seen from their siblings and what they seen from their parents and what they seen from their uncles and aunts and cousins in their community. So they're only mirroring what they've seen, what they absorb. So this is, you can't really fault. They're not them, they're just regurgitating what they, what's been what's been indoctrinated in them. And it takes you to come out of that to actually do your own research, to actually read the teachings of the teacher yourself, to actually research the teachings of the Most High yourself, to read these writings yourself in order for you to come out of that. So let's move on. So it says, letting your light shine is showing compassion. Letting your light shine is being a peacemaker. Letting your light shine is being a peacemaker. So when you become a peacemaker, not everyone is making peace. Who is making peace out here? Nobody is trying to make peace. Now you got political figures, claiming to make peace, but they're only doing it for political leverage. They're only doing it for, they have motives. I'm talking about people making peace without motives, without political motives, without motives, at all. You know what I mean? Like people who are able to make peace with others, make peace amongst others. This is rare. This is why this is a light. This is why this is demonstrating of you letting your light shine. Because in the world of darkness, where in the world of darkness of everyone's trying to, have pretty much confrontation with others, or have a fuss with others, or have an issue with others, or have, something, a bone to pick with others. When you're the one to come along and say, like, yo, let's squash that. Let's put it, let's stop that. Let's do away with that. Let's be reasonable. Let's be adults. We don't have to be friends, but we can agree to disagree. We don't have to go at each other or go back and forth with each other. This is a peacemaker. And when you show yourself to be a peacemaker, you show yourself to be a spiritual child of God. This is what the verse 9 says. This is chapter 5, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called children of God. They should be called children of God. So this is what shining your light means. Let your light shine before men. This is how you let your light shine, by showing yourself to be a peacemaker. Also, you let your light shine by doing all the above, being compassionate, being obedient, being, meek, friendly, being mourning for others, having empathy, being poor in spirit, having humility. This is how you let your light shine. This is how you let your light shine. So that they shall see your good works. These are your good works. These are your good works. Being a peacemaker, good works. Being compassionate, good works. Being righteous, meaning obedient. So that covers all what you are required to be obedient to. All the teachings of his Father. With the exception of what he took in, which is the sacrifice and the rituals of the temple. The temple itself and the rituals of the temple and the sacrifice. You have to be obedient to everything else. Mourning for others, being humble. These are the good works. How do we know that? This is what he said in the next verse. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. So he didn't come to destroy the Torah, which is the instructions of God. He didn't come to destroy the instructions of God, nor did he come to destroy the prophecies of God, the prophets of God. I did not come to destroy, but to complete, meaning to demonstrate the teachings, the instructions of God, and fulfill the prophecies of God. That's what the Torah is. Torah is instructions. Torah means instructions. Instructions of what? Instructions of God. That's what Torah is. His instructions, the instructions of his Father. The prophets. What are the prophets? The prophecies of the prophets. He's not talking about destroying the prophets himself, because the prophets are already passed. So what he's saying is what the prophets spoke. He didn't come to destroy what the prophets spoke. He didn't come to destroy the prophecies of the prophets. He came to fulfill them, came to complete them, came to demonstrate them. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod or one title shall by no means pass from Torah, till all be done. That means one letter or one word shall by no means pass from the instructions till all be done. So not one word from the instructions of God will be obsolete till all be done. Until all be done, meaning all prophecies fulfilled. All prophecies fulfilled. That's what this means. Till all prophecies fulfilled. How do we know? Because he said this in the prior verse. Keep in context. Read in context. He said this in the prior verse. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. Meaning that do not think that I came to destroy the Torah and the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till heaven and the earth pass away, not one yod or one title shall by no means pass from the Torah, meaning instructions. Torah meaning instructions. Till all be done. What is all that needs to be done? The prophecies. The prophecies is what needs to be done. The prophecies is what needs to be fulfilled. The prophecies is what needs to be carried out. That's what all be done mean. All the prophecies hasn't been carried out yet. All the prophecies haven't been fulfilled yet. And if you know, you know. If you know the prophecies, you know they haven't been fulfilled yet. There are judgment day prophecies. There are end time prophecies that has to be fulfilled that we haven't seen yet. We're seeing them. We're seeing some come about, but we haven't seen them all. So until all is done, the instructions are still required. The instructions are still to be followed. Until all prophecies are fulfilled, until all is done, all his instructions are required. All his instructions should be followed. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the heavens, least in the kingdom of the heavens. So what this means is, if you're breaking the least of the commands, if you've broken the least of the commands, because breaks is past tense. Breaks is past tense. So when it says breaks, whoever then breaks the least of these commands, that's past tense. So that means what you've done in the past. If you broke the least of the commands, it's no panic. It's no panic. But so it says, whoever then breaks the least of these commands, meaning if you've broken them in the past, and teaches men so, meaning but you're teaching that what you've done in the past was wrong. You've done what you've done by breaking this in the past. What you've done was wrong. You're teaching that, you know, that you've learned from it, you repented from it, and this is what we should be doing. This is what we were instructed. This is what we were commanded. This is what was taught to us by our Savior. This is what was sown to us as a lesson by our Savior. If you're teaching this, but you've broke it in the past, you will be called the least in the kingdom of the heavens. At least you're in the kingdom. At least you're in the kingdom. I'm fine with that. I've broken the least of the commands in the past, but I'm teaching now that this is what I've learned from. This is what I've done. This is what I repented from. This is what we should be doing. This is what we all should be doing. Showing where we repent, what we repented from, what we've done and we shouldn't do, what we are no longer doing, and this is all we can do. This is the best we can do, yo. And we'll be the least in the kingdom, but at least we'll be in the kingdom. At least we'll be in the kingdom. Now, to take it a step further, this is how he shows that, you know, it's a level, it's levels to it, but it ain't really, but it is. It says, but whoever does and teaches them, meaning whoever basically follows these, if you've gone your whole life following the commands, if you've gone your whole life following the instructions, and you haven't, you know, broken in the instructions, this is why he's saying this is rare. What he's saying to you is that if you follow them and you teach them, also teach them, you will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So if you go on your whole life following these teachers and following these instructions and teaching these instructions, following these lessons and teaching these lessons, following these, you have earned the right to be called great in the kingdom. You have earned every bit of the right to be called great if you've gone your whole life following and teaching these instructions. And it's rare. So this is why this can't be given to anybody. This status can't be given to anybody, because not many people are able to do this. Not many people are able to do this. So this is why you would be called the great. You would be called the great. You would be called great in the kingdom. You will be called great in the kingdom if you're able to do this. Not many people would, you know. I'm excited to see how many great people are in the kingdom. And I'm not writing anybody off. You have people who call themselves monks. You got people who call themselves monks, you know what I mean, and whatever. But I'm interested in seeing the greats of the kingdom who went their whole life without, who went their whole life following these instructions and teaching these instructions. I'm anxious to see this. I'm anxious to see this. I'm not writing it off. I'm not saying that people aren't out there like everyone else would say. You have monks who will go their whole life. People known as monks, you know what I mean? And this is similar. This is a different practice, but this is just an example. You have people who go their whole life in the Himalayan mountains, going their whole life just doing what is right, doing right by people, doing right by themselves, doing right by each other. So I can't write off. It's this corruption. You have people in parts of the world who cut themselves off from this ancient knowledge of evil that's developing in entertainment. This ancient knowledge of evil that's progressing in, politics. That's progressing in artificial intelligence. That's progressing in this ancient knowledge of evil. You have people who have cut themselves off from this. So these are the only people that are able to do this, to have, get away with this, to follow these instructions and teach these instructions and go their whole life without, breaking these instructions. But for the most part, we've all been corrupted by the ancient knowledge of evil. It has a strong influence on this world through entertainment, through politics, through everything that we see. So you're going to have most people who will be the least in the kingdom because they they've broken, at some point they're broken the follow, they broken the instructions. They haven't followed the instructions, but they later repented from disobeying the instructions and teaching, and start teaching the instructions and what they had to repent from. So this is what gives them, access to the kingdom, to be the least in the kingdom. But at least they're in the kingdom. But at least you're in the kingdom. If you've done something in the past, but you're teaching that is not something to be done now, if you've disobeyed in the past, but you're teaching obedience now, you'll be in the kingdom. You'll be the least in the kingdom, is what it says, but you'll be in the kingdom. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5. These are the teachers of the teacher, the only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. So this is the book of, I just read the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 19. This is the verse 19. We're going to keep on, we're going to keep going in his teachings, because he's continuing his teachings all the way till chapter 7, and we're going to see that. Verse 20, for I say to you that unless your righteousness, pay attention, this is what the Messiah is saying. This is what the Messiah is saying. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. You shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. What does he mean? What he means by this is that everything that he's teachings is teaching us how to get our righteousness to exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees. Everything where he started teaching from the beginning of this chapter and where he ends these teachings is how to get our righteousness to exceed that of the scribes and the Pharisees. He's teaching us how to get our right in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Because if we don't follow these teachings that he's teaching us, how can we enter into the kingdom of heaven? How can we get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees? I know you might hear people copy and paste this, that, and the third, and they say, oh, all I got to do is believe. How do you believe? How do you demonstrate that you believe something? You say with your lips that this is why he said they confess me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Because if your heart was near to him, you will show how you believe in him. By following his lessons, by following his teachings, by following his demonstrations. That's how you show that you believe in something. By honoring it. You believe you have a job by showing up to work. You believe you had a house by showing up home and opening the door and believing that your key works for that door. So this is the same, but it's no different. You show that you believe by following what this person said. You show that you believe and you have faith in a person by listening to that person, following that person, following what that person's taught, following their lessons, following their examples, following their demonstrations. This is how you show that this is how you demonstrate your strong belief. This is how you demonstrate your strong faith. Person that says they have faith, where's the works? This is I believe John or James said this. This is one of the ancient brothers said this. Show me your faith, I'll show you my works. Because it's like I gotta show you that I believe. Prove to me that you believe. You can say that we can say just about anything with our lips. We can say just about anything with our lips. How do we prove it? By our actions. How do we prove it? By our actions. We can say anything with our lips. We can say we're going to do something and later don't do it. We can say that we have something and be lying. Or I think y'all got my point. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, everything that he's teaching us is how to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. If we don't follow what he's teaching us to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees, this is what he says. You shall by no means, you should by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. You should by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. There's no getting around this. This is what the Messiah himself said. You should not, if you don't follow what he's teaching, being humble, meaning poor in spirit, mourning for others, having empathy, being friendly, being approachable, hungering and thirsting for righteousness, meaning being obedient to his instructions of his Father, having compassion, being clean in heart by demonstrating all of that, and being a peacemaker. If you're not doing this, and he has much, and he has more. He's going to teach us more. But if you can't just get that, you can't get that out the way, we got problems. If you can't get that out the way, we got problems. If you can't humble yourself, we got problems. You can't mourn for others and have empathy, we got problems. If you can't be meek and approachable, we got problems. If you can't be obedient, you got problems. We got problems. If we can't be compassionate, we got problems. If we can't be peacemakers, we got problems. We got problems, man. Problems that's going to keep us out of the kingdom. This is clearly what this is saying. For I say to you, this is Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 20. Write it down if you have to. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 20. This is clear and cut what you have to do to make it into the kingdom. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you should by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. You should by no means enter into the kingdom of heavens. Write it down. Tell a friend. Put it on your poster, whatever. Post a sticky note on your on your wall, in your car, wherever, on your bathroom mirror. Because the scribes and the Pharisees couldn't humble themselves. They weren't poor in spirit. The scribes and the Pharisees didn't mourn for others, obviously. The scribes and the Pharisees weren't meek. They weren't friendly. We see that because they weren't friendly to the Messiah. The scribes and the Pharisees didn't hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake, to be obedient. The scribes and the Pharisees didn't have compassion. We see that. They weren't compassionate to the Messiah. The scribes and the Pharisees weren't clean in heart. They weren't peacemakers. We see that because they didn't make peace with the Messiah. So we got modern day scribes and Pharisees. And that's not people that's going around teaching what's misnombered as the laws of Moses. That's not, anybody like, you got most people think, oh, you teaching the law, which is the laws of God, the laws of the spiritual government, not the laws of Moses. If you're teaching the laws of God, people would, oh, you a Pharisee. No, that's not demonstration. That's not characteristics of a Pharisee. Characteristics of a Pharisee is being anti-Mashiach, being basically anti-Messiah and anti his character, being not humble, being not, you're not poor in spirit, you're not mourning for others, you're not friendly, you're not obedient, you're not compassionate, you're not a peacemaker. This is showing yourself to be a Pharisee. And most people don't know they're scribes and Pharisees because, they don't, they pick and choose what they want to read. They're selective readers of the Bible. They're selective readers of the Bible, and they selective hearers of the word. They only hear what they want to hear, and they only read what they want to read, what they can use and have, make good videos out of them, and make, you know, so this is the book of Matthew chapter 5, his teachings. And their teachings are going to go on till chapter 7. We're going to see that. But let's continue reading. Verse 21. You heard. So this is what he's about to show us the difference from he's about to get into the difference between the scribes and the Pharisees' righteousness to our righteousness. Now the scribes and the Pharisees' righteousness is still righteousness. Meaning I'm not, what I mean by that is that they followed the instructions of, for the most part, the instructions of God. But they had some inner character issues. They weren't, they were ugly on the inside. They weren't compassionate. They weren't, peacemakers. They weren't, they didn't have empathy. They didn't mourn for others. So this is what he's about to show, that he's about to differentiate, the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees and the righteousness of the children of God that we should be. So it's basically the children of men and the children of God. The children of men are the scribes and the Pharisees and most people today. The children of God, the spiritual children of God, are what he needs our righteousness to be. For us to be clean on the inside and out. People are just clean on the outside. He needs us to be clean on the inside as well. And that's showing compassion, having empathy, all that. You heard it was said to those of old. You heard it was said to those of old. These are the scribes and the Pharisees. You shall not murder. Now, we all should still, we all heard this and we all should obey this. But this is what he says. It says, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. We know this. But I say to you, so meaning this is how you take it a step further. But I say to you, this is how you get your righteousness to exceed the scribes of the Pharisees. But I say to you, whoever is rough with his brother, meaning whoever is angry with his brother or sister, whoever is angry with his brother or sister without a cause, meaning you're angry with this person without a cause. They didn't give you a reason to be angry with them. They didn't give you a reason to be, jealous of them or envious of them or, be mean to them, to be standoffish. Somebody don't give you a reason, then you got some issues. If you're mad at a person and you don't like a person and they didn't give you no reason to not like them, we have issues if we're like this. We have issues if we're like this. When we're mad and angry with people and they didn't give us a reason to, we have issues. This is what we got to address. These are the issues we have to address. So it says, but I say to you, whoever is rough with his brother without a cause, whoever is rough with his brother or sister without a cause, shall be liable to judgment. And basically, judgment day. You should be liable to judgment day. And whoever says to his brother, Raka, whatever that means, because this is what he's saying, what the scribes and Pharisees were calling each other. They were avoiding calling each other Raka, whatever that means. Shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. That's what they were doing. This is what the scribes and the Pharisees were doing. But how to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees, this is what he's saying. But whoever says, you fool, shall be liable to the fire of Gehenna. So when you call a person a fool, that means you're calling a person any old, you're calling person, the worst thing you could call them out of their name. Like it's not, a fool is known as like an unbeliever. You know what I mean? In the scripture, in the Bible. But like, it also can mean any wicked word that you come up with that you call a person coming from an ill will place in your heart. Coming from an ill will place in the heart. Now, you may jokingly, we have people we joke with, family members and friends that we joke with, and we just call them things, and it's not, it's more, It's more out of, playing and, joking with each other. But you know when it's coming from an ill place in your heart, when somebody called you something or you've called someone something out of their name. That is what's liable to the fire. That's what's liable to fire, is that place that came, where that came from. The place that came from is what's liable to the fire. Where you're calling someone something out of their name and coming from an ill place of your heart, coming from an ill, wicked place of your heart. That's what is liable to the fire. You're liable to the fire when if you don't put that out, if you don't get that out of you, if you don't, suppress that and not let that come to words. It's what's in the flesh is in the flesh. And you can't, I wish we could wipe our flesh clean and, to where as though we don't have memory and we don't have these characters that we have in our flesh. But it's not like that. Realistically, that's not it, man. That's not, you know, that's not something that could be done. And I know people go on try to say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm born again." But what that means when you're born again is means you tapped into the spiritual child of God within you, and you're ruling over the flesh. That doesn't mean you don't have those thoughts anymore. That doesn't mean you don't. That mean all it means is that you're suppressing those thoughts. You're not letting those thoughts come to action. You're not letting those thoughts come to words. You're not letting those ideas come to action in words. It's not that you don't have them more and you're completely clean and you're completely holy and you're completely, you know, no. That's not real. No. This flesh is very real. This flesh has muscle memory. And what it being reborn in the spirit, being reborn as a spiritual child of God is ruling over this flesh. That's what this means, is to rule over that. To now you're denying the flesh of what it wants to say. You're denying the flesh of what it wants to do. You're denying the flesh of where it wants to go. You're denying the flesh of all of how it responded and how it reacted and how it acted out in the past. You know what I mean? So it's not that we don't feel we don't feel driven to it's not that we don't feel driven to say wicked things to somebody, like, or say mean things to somebody. Yeah, we still get tempted to do that. It's not that we don't. It's not that doesn't come about. We still get those ideas. We still get that urge to want to say mean things and say what how a person made us feel. We still get that, but it's the spiritual child of God within us it's the reborn child of God within us, that spiritual reborn child of God within us, that rules over it and deny it and flush it out and suppress it and be like, no, I ain't gonna say that. No, I ain't gonna do that. You know what I mean? That's what this is. But that's how you show yourself to be. This is what we all are working to get to. We're all each day should be working to get to this point. Whereas though we're denying our flesh from saying, calling somebody out of their name, calling somebody a fool or whatever evil, wicked thing out of their name. Anything but a child of God is what they say. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place and there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the slaughter place and go. First make peace. First make peace. First make peace with your brother or sister. And then come offer your gift. So he's speaking to the people in front of him. This is the Messiah speaking. So keep in context, he's not giving relevance to, you know, he's basically saying, like, if you're assembling if you're gathering with your brothers and sisters, but you have a problem with another brother or a sister that's not there with you, he's telling you to stop your gathering with your brother, whether it's virtual or in person. Stop gathering with your other brothers and sisters and make things right with your brother and sister that you didn't make things right with. Make peace. Remember, this is his teaching. Verse 9, chapter 5, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers. So this is consistent. Stop what you're doing. You can't be in congregation or in your place of worship, in your place of congregating, in your place of assembling, in your place of gathering. You can't gather with other brothers and sisters when you got an issue that you need to squash with your other brother and sister. If you remember that you got an issue with your brother and sister and y'all used to be there together, you got to stop everything you doing. Either go to them or call them or text them and let them know, yo, I'm squashing this. I'm squashing this. I'm done. We not beefing. We don't have problem. I don't have a problem with you anymore. And it's up to them to, not have a problem with you anymore. But what you're doing is telling them you don't have a problem with them anymore. I don't have a problem with you anymore. It's not hard to, it is hard. I ain't going to say it's not hard to, because the flesh makes it hard. It's the flesh that makes it hard to do this. The flesh doesn't want to make peace. The flesh doesn't want to be a peacemaker. The child of God, it's easy for. Child of God doesn't have pride. The child of God isn't prideful and proud and arrogant. It's the flesh that's prideful. It's the flesh that's arrogant. It's the flesh that's, that's proud. Too proud to call somebody and squash something. Too proud to text somebody and squash this and say that I no longer have an issue with you. This is what you need to do. This is what he's telling us to do. Leave your gift there before the slaughter place and go. First make peace with your brother and then come after. Then come and offer your gift. Like basically, then come gather with your brothers and sisters. Then come gather with in the places of worship. Then come gather in his name. Can't gather in his name if you ain't a peacemaker. Because he's amongst us. He knows this. He sees this. You can't gather with him because when 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he's amongst us. He's with us. You can't gather with him if you still holding grudges or you got smoke with somebody. You gotta go put that smoke out. Take the initiative. Tell that person, yo, I no longer got smoke with you. I no longer have an issue with you. I no longer have a problem with you. Whether it's text, phone call, in person, however you need to do that, do that. Then go gather in his name. I'm just teaching. Listen, it's tough. It's just as tough as it is for you. It's tough for me. It's tough. Just as tough as it is for your flesh to do it, it's tough for my flesh to do it. You know what I mean? To tell a person, yo, I no longer have a problem with you. I do my best when I gather, when I see the people that I may have an issue or a problem with. I keep it cordial. I keep it, I keep everything. I keep everything love. You know what I mean? I try for the most part. But I don't put myself in the presence of people who's showing themselves to make a habit out of, doing me wrong. That's what he's not asking you to do that. If a person is showing himself to continue to be, don't put yourself around people that's harmful and they don't show themselves to be different and repent from it. And, he's not telling you to, put yourself around people that just not good to be around. You know, he's saying, like, you know, just make your peace, whether it's from a distance. Even if it's from a distance, make your peace with these people. And if they're not showing themselves to be different and showing themselves to be, you know, to have turned back and repented, you got to keep your distance. Make peace from a distance. Forgive them from a distance. Make peace from a distance. Be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge and the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you, you should by no means get out there till you have paid the last penny. What does he mean by the last penny? Obviously, he's talking about, you know, you owing people. You owing your brother or sister. So if you owe your brother or sister, you got to work on getting them paid, man. If you owe your brother or sister, you got to work on getting them paid. Because it's like, if you don't, then it's like, it's showing yourself, you're making people, you know, you know, feel indifferent about, you know, towards you, you know, and it's like not cleaning up your mess. You leave a mess for others to clean up. People, you know, they feel indifferent towards you about that. You know what I mean? Cleaning, you know, like, you gotta clean your mess up, and if you owe somebody, pay them. If there's a mess that you made, if it's something that you broke, you gotta fix it. If it's a mess that you made, you gotta clean it up. If it's something that you owe, you have to pay. And I'm not talking about creditors. I'm not talking about collections. I'm talking about people who rely on you paying them back. I'm talking about brothers and sisters who rely on you paying them back. This is why he said, you know, don't wait until somebody's looking to sue you or looking to try to get their money back themselves or try to get people, you know what I mean? Don't wait for that. Truly I say to you, you should by no means get out there until you have paid the last penny. You know? You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery. So this is what those of old were told. This is what the, you know, scribes and the Pharisees, and what we should also continue to, you know, heed to obey. Not commit adultery. But I say to you, this is what he's saying to us to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. But I say to you that everyone looking at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So that we're your imagination. So if you're imagining things, you're imagining being with this woman when you already have a woman. If you're imagining being with this woman when she already belongs to someone, if you're imagining being with, you know, this woman, and she's married or you're married, you're committing adultery in your imagination. And this is where the imagery start. This is where the imagination start, in your heart, in the heart of the flesh. This is where it starts. All evil thoughts come from the heart. This is what the teacher later teaches us. He teaches us this. So this is what he's referring to. It's like, yo, you know what I mean? You can't be imagining, you know, being with somebody. Now, if the person is not with somebody or you're not with somebody, yo, and you actually have intentions on pursuing this person, you know, that's another thing. You have intentions. You have good intentions on pursuing this person in engagement, in marriage, or whatever. So that's different, you know. That's attraction. But it becomes lust when you have no intentions. You have no intentions on engaging, you know, with this person. You have no intentions on being with this person. And when you get the imagining yourself being with this person and you don't have no intentions on being with this person, like in engagement and being in marriage with this person, that's lust. That's adultery in your head. That's adultery in your imagination. And if your right eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for entire body to be thrown into the Gehenna. He's not talking about, damaging your eye, man. He's talking about your spiritual eye. He's talking about what you basically, if something you watching is causing you to stumble, stop watching it. Pluck it out. If something you're watching is causing you to stumble, stop watching it. Pluck it out. So if women are leading you to stumble, stop watching women. Stop watching women. Stop. If you know, listen, I took it as far, me personally, took it as far as like when I'm out in public, I don't even look. If I sense that a beautiful one or a sexy woman or some, some kind of, woman is, even though it may be potential, I don't even look. I'm making it my duty to not even look their way, because I don't need to be imagining what I could be doing with that woman. If I ain't got no intention and she ain't got no interest in me and I ain't got no, I'm not going to look her way to even go down that rabbit hole, to even start that. I'm not doing that. And this is what I've just started, this is what I just started recently. I started exercising this recently. And this could be a good exercise for the, for brothers as well, man. Like, if you sense that there's a baddie around you in the vicinity, don't even look her way, or don't even look her in the eyes. Don't even look at, like this is what the Proverbs say. Don't let the beauty, I forgot how it puts it, but the Proverbs tells us that our ancient brother Solomon says this. But the Most High has basically said this to us through him. Don't be captivated by her eyelids and her beauty and this, that, and the third. Once you're captivated, that's when your imagination run wild and you start thinking about you start imagining yourself being with this person sexually, and you start, and that leads to other, imaginations. You imagining being with others like that, and so on and so on, and it spirals out of control. Trust me, I know. I'm a victim of it. You know what I mean? This is how it spirals. This is how you snuff it out. This is how you alleviate it, by not even looking their way. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just something that you have to do for yourself if you know that it causes you to stumble. I know that women cause me to stumble, so I'm not going to look their way. Like, now it's another thing that, I got to speak to someone and whatever, and have to actually have dialogue and, talk. But for the most part, I'm staying focused, staying on my mission, and staying, just gotta keep it pushing. Now, and it's another thing when I'm watching them, I may watch a movie. I'm saying, what I'm referring to is like you going out your way to stare somebody down, and you know what I mean? No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you just being weird, you keeping your head down, and you not, not saying hi to nobody, or not, addressing nobody, and not making eye contact with them. I'm talking about you're going out of your way, and you're going to, lust in your imagination, and you're just staring at someone, That's what I'm referring to. That's what I'm talking. This is what he's talking about. I'm not talking about you just avoid eye contact with people you have to clearly, come in contact with, and you have to be in, conversation with, and you have to talk to. I'm not talking about that. You know what I mean? It says, and if your right hand causes you to stumble, Cut it off and throw it out, throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into the Gehenna. So this is referring to, you know, if someone is causing you to stumble, like this is someone outside of yourself. You know what I mean? So if someone like a friend or a family member or, you know, associate of yours is causing you to stumble, they're trying to seduce you into stumbling, you got to cut that person off. You got to cut that person out of your life. Cut that person off. Like, all right, I'm cool. You try and get me to do this. You try and get me to do that. I'm cool, yo. Spend less time with that person until you spending no time with that person. They're going to get the message. They're going to get the idea. So this is what he's referring to. He's not asking you to damage your body, damage your temple. You know what I mean? Master, I don't think this is not what you meant. You know, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't want us to literally pluck out our spirit, our the eyes of our flesh, or, you know, cut off the you know, the part of our flesh. You're talking about the spirit, our spiritual eye, what we see, what we watch. You're talking about, you know, the spiritual members of the body, of your body, meaning, you know, people who are supposed to be brothers or sisters that's causing us to stumble. Cut them off. Cut them off. If they causing you to stumble, cut them off. It's better to cut them off than the whole body of the Messiah, which we become when we gather in his name. The whole body of Messiah, the spiritual temple, the spiritual place of worship is his body, is his spiritual body that we become when we gather in his name. Is better to cut off one member who's trying to get people to stumble, cut off one member, than the entire body to be thrown in the Gehenna, to be thrown in the fire. And it has been said, whoever puts away his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that whoever puts away his wife, except for the matter of horn, except for the matter of horn, except for the matter of her cheating, except for the matter of her physically sleeping with someone else. But I say to you, whoever puts away his wife, except for the matter of horn, makes her commit adultery. So you're going to make her commit adultery if you put her away for, you know, you're going to make her sleep with someone else if you put her away for something other than sleeping with somebody else. You're going to make her, you're going to lead her to sleep with someone else if you put her away for something other than sleeping with someone else. This is the only way you could put a woman, you could divorce your wife. This is the only way you could divorce your wife, is if she sleep with someone else. Because if you divorce her and she hasn't slept with someone else, she's gone. If you put her away and you've divorced her and she hasn't slept with someone else, you're forcing her to sleep with someone else because she can no longer sleep with you. She can no longer be with you. She can no longer sleep with you. So you're forcing her to go be with someone else and sleep with someone else. And whoever marries a woman who has been put away commits adultery. So then you're causing the person who sleeps with her to commit adultery as well. Because you never was to, you know, put her away and divorce her. So you can't deal with divorced women. You can't deal with put away wives. You know, this is, you can argue with Messiah if you want to. You're not arguing with me. You arguing with the Messiah. You can't marry someone that's been divorced. You know, if you know, you can't. This is what I'm getting out of it. You could twist it to fix your own narrative and, you know, fit your own narrative and fit your, to make you feel better. I'm not going to do that. I don't deal with divorcees. I don't. You know, I don't marry. I'm not looking to marry to a divorced person, a divorced woman, because the Messiah is basically saying I will be committing adultery. I will be committing adultery if I do so. Again, you heard that it was said to those of old, you should not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to Yahuwah. But I say to you, this is what he's saying to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. But I say to you, do not swear at all. Do not swear at all. Neither by the heaven, because it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great kings. Nor swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. So you can't swear by yourself, swear on this and on God and on, you can't say all that. This is what he's telling us to stop saying. This is what he's telling us to stop all on such and such grave, on my mama, on my dad, on this, that, and the third, on my homie, on my child, on anybody. It says, but let your word yes be yes and your no be no. And what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. So let your yes be yes and your no be no. Simple yes or no answers. You did it or you didn't do it. Yes or no. That's it. You can or you can't. You are or you're not. That's it. 1 second, I gotta blow my nose. My bad. So, yeah. It's either you do or you don't. You can or you can't. Yes or no. You will or you won't. You are or you not. But let your yes be yes and your no be no. And what goes beyond this is from the wicked one. What goes beyond this, when you start going beyond this, is finessing. Is you know, you're working your craft. You're being crafty. You know, you're being crafty. You're finessing, and you know, you're pretty much working from a place of wickedness. You know, you're working from a place of wickedness. You're operating from a place of wickedness when you're starting to go, you're starting to get into, you know, this, that, and the third, and stories and explaining yourself and all that. Trust me, I'll be struggling the same. I'll be struggling the same way, and I'm trying to get better at just keeping keeping it concise. You know what I mean? Keeping it yes, keeping my yes, yes, and my no, no. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You know, this is what the scribes and the Pharisees heard, and this is what, you know, this is what they live by. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked, meaning don't run from the wicked, don't avoid the wicked. Don't run from people. Don't be a coward. This is what he means when he says, do not resist the wicked. Like, basically, don't be trying to go around people. You know what I mean? Yeah, you want to avoid places where these people be at, but like when you come encounter with people, you know, like don't avoid, avoid places you shouldn't be. Avoid places, and if you are in places, you got to operate according to all spiritual knowledge, wisdom, and understanding spoken by the kings and like Solomon and David. Got to know how to carry yourself, and you can't forget. You got to keep it all top of mind and know how to operate, know how to respond. So don't resist, says, but I say to you, do not resist the wicked. But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. So, like, for me, this is why I avoid certain places. Because I ain't got time to be getting slapped by nobody. Like, you know what I mean? I don't say things to get myself slapped. So this is another thing. If you don't say things about people, you ain't got to worry about getting slapped. If you don't make up stories and if you don't do things to make people want to slap you or say things to make people want to slap you, you ain't got to worry about being slapped. If you don't go places where people hang out, people who slap people hang out, you ain't got to worry about getting slapped. You don't got to worry about turning the other cheek. You don't have to worry about none of that. And that's my thing. That's how I live. That's what I live by. I ain't got to turn the other cheek because, I don't go around people who slap people. Or I don't say things about people that make them want to slap me. I don't do things to make people want to slap me. You know what I mean? So you got to watch what you're saying, watch what you're doing, and watch where you're going. Because you may be doing, things that make people want to slap you. You may be saying things that make people want to slap you. You may be going places where people who slap people hang out. I don't do that. Because I don't want to turn the other cheek. My flesh doesn't want to turn the other cheek. My spirit has no problem with that. But my flesh does not want to turn the other cheek. You know what I mean? And it's most people who are, and this is what he's trying to separate. This is what he's trying to make spiritual children out of us. He's trying to make spirits out of us so we can get into a spiritual kingdom. He's trying to make spirits out of us so we can enter a spiritual place. You can't enter a spiritual place if you're in the flesh. The flesh can't enter a spiritual place. The flesh can't enter a spiritual realm. So he's trying to make spirit beings out of us to enter the spiritual realm, to enter the spiritual kingdom. It's the flesh that wants an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, wants to slap somebody back. It's the flesh that wants to do that. And granted, I get it. My flesh is no different from your flesh. My flesh wants to slap people back too. My flesh wants to get their hit back. So to avoid that, I do my best to deny my flesh of getting itself slapped. Because the flesh can be stupid. The flesh can be silly. The flesh can say silly things to get itself slapped, to make people want to slap it. The flesh can say things to make people want to slap it. The flesh can do things to make people want to slap it. The flesh wants to go places where other people slap people. It's the spirit, the spiritual child of God. It's the spirit within that has to stop the flesh from saying these things. It's the spiritual child from within that has to stop the flesh from doing these things. It's the spirit within that has to stop the flesh from going these places and getting itself slapped. And he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. So anybody, like, this is another demonstration of the spirit and the flesh. It's the flesh that care about these, what's made for the flesh and for the flesh, their belongings, the materialistic things. It's the flesh that cares about this. The spirit doesn't care about these things. Spirit doesn't care about, the material things. So it's like being as though the spirit doesn't care about it. He's like, man, operate in the spirit and tell a person like, yeah, you could take this too. You got this. Take this as well. Take this with you. And he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. Like, I don't care. You can have this outer garment as well. You got the inner garment. Take this outer garment too. That's showing yourself to be more invested in your spirit and less invested in your flesh. More invested in your spirit, less invested in your flesh. It's the flesh that cares about your outer and your inner garment. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him too. So if a person wants you to do, go do something, wants you to do something for them, or wants you to go somewhere for them, go, ask them what else you need me to do. Because the modern day scribes and Pharisees and people, they don't want to do things for people. They don't want to do things for people, yo. They don't want to do things for people. They for self. They for self. So, they're not willing to go 1 mile with somebody or go anywhere for somebody. Someone need them go to the store or go somewhere for them or take them somewhere. Flesh doesn't want to do that. My flesh doesn't be feeling like doing stuff to everybody's flesh. Be like, man, I don't feel like it, or find an excuse to not. You know what I mean? But it's the spirit within. It's the spirit within that is willing. What do you need? Where do you need to go? Let's do it. Is there anything else I can do for you? Is there anything else I can do for you? Is what the spirit, he wants the spirit to ask. Is what the spirit needs to be asked. Is there anything else that I can do for you? What else? Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, do not turn away. So it's the flesh that doesn't want. It's the flesh, the child of man, the modern day scribes and Pharisees that don't want to give anybody anything. They don't. This is the flesh that says, I don't have it. I don't got it. It's the spirit that lends. Let someone borrow and don't turn them away. The flesh doesn't want to let anybody borrow. The scribes and the Pharisees of today don't want to let nobody borrow. The flesh and the children of men don't want to let anyone borrow anything. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, borrow. Do not turn away. You heard that it was said, you should love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, this is what he's saying to us to get our righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees. Love your enemies. Love your enemies to get your righteousness to exceed the scribes and the Pharisees and enter into the kingdom of heaven. You have to love your enemies. Bless those cursing you. Do good to those hating you. And pray for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become children of your Father in the heavens. Because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. This is a clear indication, clear example. If you need to put this in your sticky notes, you do so as well. This is how you get, this is what is asked of us. Loving our enemies, blessing those cursing us, doing good to those hating us, praying for those insulting and persecuting us. There's no getting around that. You have to demonstrate this in order to enter into the kingdom. It's the flesh that doesn't love his enemies. It's the flesh that doesn't bless those cursing them. It's the flesh that doesn't hate. It's the flesh that doesn't want to do good to those hating them. It's the flesh that doesn't pray for those insulting and persecuting. It's the flesh that does this. It's the flesh that doesn't want to do any of that. And so it's the flesh, it's the spiritual child of men who wants to do the opposite, but it's it's the child of men who wants to do the opposite. It's the spiritual children of God who wants to do this. And this is how you demonstrate yourself to be a spiritual child of God, when you're doing this. When you're loving your enemies, blessing those cursing you, doing good to those hating you, and praying for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become children of your Father in the heavens. Because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, because he needs to know who's who. He needs to see you separate yourself, set yourself apart. Set yourself apart as the good. Set yourself apart from the wicked. If you're good, set yourself apart from the wicked. If you're righteous, set yourself apart from the unrighteous. This is what he needs to see us do. This takes action. This requires action. So it's not just saying something with your lips that you believe with your lips. You have faith with your lips. No, you have to show that you believe. You have to show that you have faith. For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? So if you love those who love you, like, this is what he's saying. Like, how can I know that you're different from somebody that's wicked? Because the wicked are also loving those who love them. The scribe and the Pharisee are also loving those who love them. Tax collectors are also loving those who love them. So how am I going to tell you apart? The unrighteous are also loving those who love them. So how can I tell you apart? For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are the tax collectors not doing the same too? And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? So this is a clear indication that it's not just people that look like you. We're not just the this is not about just people that look like you, or people that you call your brother or sister, or people that you call your relative, or your nationality or your race. This is not just about those people. These are clearly about other people. For if you love, it says, for if you greet your brothers only, if you greet your brothers and sisters only, what do you do more than others? So this is clearly telling us that we have to not, we got to do more than just greet our brothers and sisters, people that just look like us. We gotta greet others as well. If you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? Therefore be perfect. Therefore be perfect, as your Father in the heavens is perfect. You can only be perfect in the spirit. You can't be perfect in the flesh. The flesh is always going to be imperfect, and as long as we're in the flesh is going to be imperfect. Don't expect the flesh to be perfect. Don't expect the flesh to be nothing more than what it is, which is filthy, which is wicked, which is evil, which is, petty and spiteful. Hold grudges. It doesn't want to forgive. It's the spirit that needs to be perfect. It's the spirit that you need to understand is the only thing that can be perfect. It's the spirit within you, the spirit of spiritual child of God within you. This is what is being asked to be perfect. Not your flesh. You're going to still have the thoughts. You're going to still have the ideas. You're going to still have that. It's the spirit that needs to starve that, deprive that, suppress it, deny it. It's the spirit that needs to do this. This is how you demonstrate this perfection. This is how you perfect the spirit. This is how you be perfect. It's getting better at ruling over the flesh. It's not stopping your thoughts completely. It's not stopping your ideas completely. It's not stopping your temptations completely. It's you're not going to stop those from coming to ideas, coming to mind. What you do by perfecting is stop them from coming to words and action. Stop them from coming to words and actions. Limited them coming from words and actions. Start by limiting them from coming from words to actions, and stopping them completely from coming to words and actions. That's what this is about, man. It's not about being you know you telling everybody that you're pure and holy and you're this, because your flesh, no one flesh is pure and holy. Everyone flesh wants to do sin. Everyone flesh wants to do wickedness. Everyone's flesh wants to do evil. It's the spirit within us that stops it, denies it, deprives it, suppresses it, rules over it. Chapter 6, the continuation of his teachings. Chapter 6, verse 1. Beware of doing your kind deeds before men in order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in the heavens. I gotta get put this on a charger. Hold up. Man. Charger. Oh boy, charger. my bad. I gotta be more prepared. I swear I put this on a charger. Obviously I didn't. But it's on the charger now. So we got action. All right, cool. So, chapter 6, verse 1. Beware of doing your kind deeds before men, in order to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward. You have no reward from your Father in the heavens. Thus, when you do a kind deed, do not sound the trumpet before you as the hypocrites do. So when you're doing your deeds to be seen, when you're doing your deeds for the poor, doing your deeds for the less fortunate, when you're doing your deeds for the homeless, the poor, the sick, the hungry, the thirsty, the clothesless, the prisoner, when you're doing your good deeds to be seen, when you're getting, your camera phone out and you're recording, or your cameras, or you're getting media involved, or you're letting it be known, you're not getting the reward from your Father. You know what I mean? Thus, when you do a good deed, do not sound the trumpet before you as the hypocrites. You're a hypocrite when you do this. This is what he's telling you, that you're a hypocrite if you do this. You know what I mean? This is what the hypocrites do in the congregations and in the streets, to be seen by men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. They have their reward, which is the approval of men and women. Their likes, their views, their follows and shares. That's their approval. The notoriety of men and women. That's their reward. But when you do a kind deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So when you do a kind deed for the hungry, the thirsty, the clothesless, the sick, the prisoner, when you do a kind deed for these people, do it in secret. Don't let no one know. Don't tell nobody you did it, because you basically deny yourself of the reward of the Most High. The reward the Most High has for you. But when you do a kind deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your kind deed shall be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret shall himself reward you openly. So your Father who sees in secret shall himself reward you openly. So the Most High himself will reward you openly if you do your deed for the less fortunate in secret. And when you pray, you should not be like the hypocrites. You should not be like the hypocrites. For they love to pray standing in the congregations and on the corners of the streets. So this is what the hypocrites does. They pray in the places of worship and on the corners of the streets, everybody to see them. To be seen by men. To be seen by men. To be seen by men and women. This is what the hypocrites do. They pray in the places of worship and on the streets of the corners of the streets, to be seen by men. This is what the Messiah is saying. He's calling them hypocrites. He's calling people hypocrites who do this. When you want to be seen by men, if you're being seen praying by men and women, the Messiah is calling you a hypocrite. I'm not calling you a hypocrite. The Messiah is calling you a hypocrite. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. What is their reward? The approval, the notoriety of men and women. But you, when you pray, go into your room, and having shut your door, Pray to your Father who is in secret place, in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. So this is another way to be rewarded openly by your Father, by your Heavenly Father. It's to be praying in secret. And when praying, do not keep on babbling like the nations. So he's telling us not to keep babbling when we're praying. But yet you have the hypocrites who pray in the places of worship in the corners of the streets and in front of men and women. They go on and on and on babbling. For they think they should be heard for their many words. They think they should be heard for their many words. Therefore, do not be like them. He's telling us not to be like them. He's telling us not to be like them. Because they're doing it for men and women. They're doing it for the approval of men and women. They're doing it to be seen by men and women. Therefore, do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. So, yeah. He knows what you need before you ask him. So this is what he's telling us to just, he's telling us to simply pray. And this is what he's telling us to pray. This then is the way you should pray. This then is the way you should pray. So he's telling us the way we should pray. Our Father, who is in the heavens, let your name be set apart. Let your kingdom come. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into trial, but deliver us from the wicked one, because yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. This is how he taught us how to pray. This is what he taught us to pray. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father shall forgive you. If you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father shall forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall your Father forgive your trespasses. So if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither shall your Father forgive your trespasses. So we have to forgive in order to be forgiven. We have to forgive in order to be forgiven. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither your Father forgive your trespasses. You have to forgive in order to be forgiven. That's why he's telling us to love you. That's why he told us to love your enemies. Bless those cursing you. Do good to those hating you. And pray for those insulting you and persecuting you. Your flesh is not able to do this. It's the spirit. All of this all of this can only be done through the spirit within you. It's the spirit that is the only one that's able to forgive. And when you fast, do not be sad-faced like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces so that they appear to be fasting to men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. What is their reward? Fasting to appear to be fasting in front of men and women. They're doing it for the approval of men and women. That's their reward. But you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. So this is another way to be rewarded openly. It's to fast in secret. Fast in secret. Don't tell anybody about it. Wash your face. Anoint your head. Don't tell anybody that you're fasting. And your Father who sees in secret shall reward you openly. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroys and where thieves break in and steal. So he's telling us not to lay up for ourselves treasures on earth, not to save this money, not to be... Now, saving money and investing money is different. Investing money is different from saving money. Investing money is biblical. Investing money is necessary. Investing money in farm animals and property, that's biblical. Assets, that's biblical. It's the actual treasure that he's telling us not to lay up. Don't be trying to save up all this treasure and money. Invest it. Invest in the people. Invest in your family. Invest in assets, farm animals, property. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where the thieves break in and steal. You can almost count on thieves breaking in and stealing this money, whether it's electronically or physically. So you can almost count on, guaranteed, that eventually your money will be stolen. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. So laying up your treasure in heaven is doing for the less fortunate, doing your deeds in secret. That's how you lay up treasure, doing your deeds in secret, obeying the lessons and the teachings, following the lessons and teachings of the teacher, obeying the instructions of his Father. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves cannot break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart shall be also. So wherever you saving, if you're saving up all this money, that's where your heart is going to be. If your treasure is physical, that's where your heart is going to be. It's in that bank account. But if your treasure is spiritual, that's where your heart is going to be, is in the spiritual bank account, and how to add to it, and doing what's necessary to add to that spiritual bank account, doing good deeds in secret, obeying your Father, following the lessons and teachings of the Son, his only begotten Son. But if your heart is in your physical bank account, your fleshly bank account, you're going to be doing what it takes to add to that bank account, and whatever it takes to keep what's in that bank account. The lamp of the body is the eye. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within your darkness, if then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So whatever you're paying attention to the most, that's the lamp of the body. That's what you're focused on the most. No one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other. Either he shall hate the one and love the other. No one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Elohim and Mammon. You are not able to serve God and money. You're not able to serve God and money. You're not able to serve both. Because the spiritual account requires you, investing that money and giving away that money and doing good deeds for others with that money. While the physical account, serving God requires you giving away money. Serving money requires you, disobeying God and not giving to his people. Because of this, I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you shall eat or drink, or about your body, what you should put on. Is not life more than the food, and the body more than the clothing? Look at the birds of the heavens, for they neither sow nor reap nor gather into the storehouses, yet your heavenly Father does feed them. Are you not worth more than they? And which of you, by worrying, is able to add 1 cubit to his lifespan? So why do you worry about clothing? Note well the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And I say to you that even Shalomo in all his esteem was not dressed like one of these. But if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field, which exists today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you, O you of little belief? Do not worry then, saying, what should we eat? Or what should we drink? Or what should we wear? For all these the nations seek for, and your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. But seek first the reign of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day has enough evil of itself. And it's a continuation into chapter 7. Chapter 7, verse 1. Continuation of his teachings. Do not judge lest you be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you should be judged. And with the same measure you use, it shall be measured to you. And why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not notice the plank in your own eye? Or how is it that you say to your brother, let me remove the splinter out of your eye, and see a plank in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you should see clearly to remove the splinter out of your brother's eye. Do not give what is set apart to the dogs, not nor throw your pearls before the pigs, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. Or is there a man among you who, if his son asks for bread, shall give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, shall give him a snake? If you then, being wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father who is in the heavens give what is good to those who ask him? Therefore, whatever you wish men to do to you, do also to them. For this is the Torah and the prophets. Enter in through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide, and the way is broad, that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter in through it. Because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life, and there are few who find it. But beware of the false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. By their fruits you shall know them. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? So every good tree yields good fruit, but a rotten tree yields wicked fruit. All that he's taught from beginning of chapter 5, it's the good fruit. Everyone that is not doing what he taught are demonstrating rotten fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then, by their fruit, you should know them. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of heavens. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. The desire of his Father is the instructions of his Father. The desire of his Father are the instructions of his Father. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name? And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine, these words of his, and does them, the words of his, shall be like a wise man who built his house on rock. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine, his words, and does not do them, shall be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain came down, and the floods came, and the wind blew, and they beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. And it came to be, when Yahushua had ended these words, that the people were astonished at his teachings. The people were astonished at his teachings. These were his teachings. This is chapter 7, verse 28, telling us that all of where he started from chapter 5, verse 2 was his teachings. And it came to be when Yahushua had ended these words, he finally ended these words, that the people were astonished at his teachings. The teachings that he begun in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 2. He finally ended them in chapter 7, verse 28. For he was teaching them as one possessing authority, and not as the scribes. Those were his teachings. Now let's get into his instructions. Let's get into his instructions. Those were his teachings. Let's get into his instructions. Chapter 9, verse 35. Starting in chapter 9, verse 35. And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their congregations, and proclaiming the good news of the reign, and healing every disease and every bodily weakness among the people. And having seen the crowds, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were weary and scattered as sheep having no shepherd. Then he said to his taught ones, the harvest truly is great, but the workers are few. Pray then that the master of the harvest would send out workers to his harvest. And having called his 12 taught ones near, he gave them authority over unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal every disease and every bodily weakness. And these are the names of the 12 emissaries. First, Shimon, who is called Kepha, and Andre, his brother, Yaakov, the son of Zabdai, and Yohanan, his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Toama and Matnayu, the tax collector, Yaakov, the son of Aphi, and Labai, whose last name was Tadai, Shimon the Canaanite, and Yehuda from Kerioth, who did also deliver him up. Notice that Matthew is one of his disciples. So this book of Matthews is one of the most authentic, is probably the most authentic account of the Gospels. Because Matthew had firsthand of these teachings, firsthand of these lessons, firsthand of these examples, firsthand knowledge of these demonstrations, firsthand knowledge of this account. Yahushua sent these 12 out. So he sent these 12 out like he sends us out. His modern day emissaries, his modern day taught ones, his modern day disciples. He sent these 12 out, having commanded them. These are his commands, his instructions. These are his commands. These are the commands of the master of the harvest. We have to follow the master of the harvest. Disciples are workers of the harvest. Disciples are students of the master of the harvest. So you have to do what the master of the harvest commanded. This is what he commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the nations, and do not enter a city of Shomoronium, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Yisrael. And as you go, proclaim, saying, the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near. This is what you proclaim. Basically, repent. The kingdom of the heaven has drawn near. heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. You have received without paying. Give without being paid. You have received without paying. Give without being paid. Clear example that we should not be accepting money from anyone for these services, for being workers of the harvest, for being disciples, for being... Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts. Do not acquire money. It's not talking about do not take money. It's not what he's talking about. He's saying do not acquire money. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts, or a bag for the journey, or 2 undergarments, or sandals, or staves for the workers, for the worker is worthy of his food. So it's just all we are to accept is food. All we are to accept as workers of the harvest is food. This is what the master of the harvest is telling us, has commanded us. Just accept food, no money. And into whatever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy in it, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter into the house, greet it. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever does not receive you nor hear your words, when you leave that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly I say to you, it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. But beware of men, for they shall deliver you up to the Sanhedrin and flog you in their congregations. And you shall be brought before governors and sovereigns for my sake, as a witness to them and to the nations. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking in you. So this is a clear indication that there's a spirit within you. It's a clear indication that there's a spirit within you. The Spirit of the Father is in you. It's a clear indication. The Spirit of the Father is in you. The Spirit of your Father is in you. Meaning this is spiritual breath of life, spiritual child of God within you. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking in you. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and a father his child. And children shall rise up against parents, and shall put them to death. And you shall be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And when they persecute you in the city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you should by no means have gone through the cities of Israel before the son of Adam comes. Meaning you won't run out of places to flee. You won't run out of places to flee before he comes, before he returns. There will always be a place to flee. A taught one is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. So we can't put ancient brothers above the master of the harvest. We can't put ancient brothers above. You can't put ancient brothers' opinions and the teachings, or modern day brothers and sisters' teachings, above the master of the harvest, above the teacher of all teachers. It is good. It is enough for the taught one to become like his teacher, meaning to do what his teacher has taught, and a servant like his master, to do what his master has taught. If they have called the master of the house of Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be made known. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light, and what you hear in the air, proclaim on the housetops. So this is the Spirit of God speaking in you that you proclaim. And do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being. That's the spirit. But rather fear him who is able to destroy being and body in the Gehenna. That's the Most High, destroying both the flesh and the spirit. Man can't destroy spirit. Man can only destroy body. Fear the one who created both body and spirit, and who's able to destroy both body and spirit. That's the Most High. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground without your Father? And even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear, you are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who shall confess me before men, him I shall also confess before my Father who is in the heavens. So represent the Messiah, everywhere you are, everywhere you go. Yahushua HaMashiach. But whoever shall deny me before men, him I shall also deny before my Father who is in the heavens. So if you deny the Messiah before men, and you're ashamed of him before men, and you're ashamed of him before your family, if you're ashamed of representing before anybody, he's going to be ashamed of representing you before his Father. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Meaning he did not come to conform. He did not come to compromise. His teachings, his lessons is not to compromise and conform. It's to be indifferent. It's to be different. It's to be set apart. It's to set yourself apart as a righteous one. Exceed your righteousness, so you can enter into the kingdom. Separate yourself from the evil one, from the evil ones. For I have come to bring division. This is the division he separate wicked from good, righteous from unrighteous, children of men from children of God, spiritual children of God. This is the division. A man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. This is what it comes down to. And a man's enemies are those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. So it's gonna come down to decisions, because it's going to be people in your household, parents, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, who are conformed to the world, who are children of men, and they don't do the teachings of the teacher. You have to always lean to the teachings of the teacher and what he demonstrated. And he who does not take up his stake and follow after me is not worthy of me. So the whole point of that verse is to follow after him. It's not about using the cross to worship. He's not talking about that. He's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Master, he's referring to a walking stick, like a stake, or simply a traveling stick to go on hiking and journeys with. This is a mere stick. It's not talking about use a cross to worship him with. He never said that he won't go against what his father told us not to do. Carved images and worshiping with carved images. He who has found his life shall lose it, and he that has lost his life for my sake shall find it. That's the spiritual life. If you lose your flesh life for the sake of your spiritual life, you have found it. That's simple. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He was sent by his Father. He didn't send himself. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he who receives a righteous one in the name of a righteous one shall receive a righteous one's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water only in the name of a taught one, a student, a worker of the harvest, truly I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward. A little one is a spiritual child of God. Little one who is the one who humbles himself, mourn for others, show compassion, a peacemaker, love his enemies. That's a little one. That's a spiritual child of God. And it came to be when Yahushua had ended instructing his 12 taught ones, that he set out from there to teach and to proclaim in their cities. So this is what he set us out to do, to teach his teachings, proclaim repentance and the kingdom being near. This is what he set us out to do. Those are his commands. Those are his instructions. Those are his instructions from chapter 9, verse 35 in the book of Matthew to chapter 11, verse 1. The instructions, the commands of the worker, the master of the harvest. The instructions he gave to the workers of the harvest, his students, his taught ones, his disciples. Now we're going to get into his prophecy. We're going to get into his prophecy in chapter 24. Get into his prophecy in chapter 24 in the book of Matthew. And going out, Yahushua went away from the set apart place, and his taught ones came near to point out to him the buildings of the set apart place. And Yahushua said to them, do you not see all these? Truly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all. which shall not be thrown down. So this is what he's telling them. He's letting them know that physical buildings are no longer required. Temples, making temples and churches and places is no longer required. Anywhere, make anywhere a place of worship. Anywhere you gather in his name is a place of worship. Anywhere you gather in his name is a place of worship. Anywhere you gather, two or three gather in his name, he's the spiritual place of worship. His body is the spiritual building. His body is the congregation. His body is the assembly. His body, his spiritual body is the temple, the church. This is a clear indication that buildings are obsolete. Physical buildings are obsolete because he sent out his workers. We are to be out, not inside. We are to be out doing work, moving from someone's house to the next. Not building a building and asking people to come. Clear indication of this. Yahushua said to them, do you not see all these? Truly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the taught ones came to him separately, saying, say to us, when shall this be? When shall this be? And what is the sign of your coming and of the end of age? And Yahushua answering said to them, this is like they're asking when this shall be. So he's about to be prophesying of when this shall be. So if he's telling us the future, this is prophecy. This is his prophecy. And Yahushua answering said to them, take heed that no one leads you astray. This is how he begins. This is how he starts it off. Take heed that no one leads you astray. I don't care who it is. Your ancient brothers, your modern day brothers and sisters, don't let no one lead you astray from what I'm about to tell you and what I've told you, what I've taught you, what I've demonstrated to you, what I've left as the lessons. Don't let no one lead you astray. Take heed that no one leads you astray, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. So many shall come along and say that they're the Messiah. Or say that he's the Messiah, but also lead many astray. That could be written like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Master. And you shall begin to hear of fighting and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcity of food, and deadly diseases, and earthquakes in places. And all these are beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations. And then the end shall come. And then the end shall come. So this good news, meaning this good news of the book of Matthew. This is the only place in the Bible where this is said. In the book of Matthew. So he's referring to what we'll be reading to this day. Because this is the only place it says this. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come. And when you see the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, set up in the set apart place, he who reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Yehuda flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetops not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garments. And woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in the winter or on the Sabbath. For then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor ever shall be. So this is a great distress that has never been, witnessed. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. If anyone then says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there, do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. These are prophecies. So if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heavens, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. Meaning, the sky falling and everything, the stars and this is what he meant by that. But concerning that day, and the hour no one knows, not even the messengers of the heavens, but my Father only. But my Father only. And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and they did not know until the flood came and took them all away, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. Then two shall be in the field, the one is taken and the one is left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one is taken and one is left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming. And know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Because of this, be ready too, for the Son of Adam is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is a trustworthy and wise servant, whom his master set over his household, to give them food in season? Remember the salt of the earth. Remember the salt of the earth. That's food in season. Substance is what that is. Blessed is the servant whom his master, having come, shall find so doing. Truly I say to you that he shall set him over all his possessions. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of that servant shall come on a day when he does not expect it, and at an hour he does not know, and shall cut him in two, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That was the prophecies of that was the prophecies of Yahushua HaMashiach in the book of Matthew, chapter 24. Now we're going to get into the revelation. Get into the revelation. Starting at chapter 22. I'm sorry, starting at chapter 21. Should I start there? 21? Starting at chapter 20. And I saw a messenger coming down from the heavens, having the key to the pit of the deep, and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the pit of the deep, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he should lead the nations no more astray until the 1,000 years were ended. And after that, he has to be released for a little while. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yahushua, and because of the word of God, and who did not worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Shaitan shall be released from his prison, and he shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And they came up over the breadth of the earth, and surrounded the camp of the set apart ones, and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. So this was only to see who had some rebellion left in them. That's what the 1,000 years is for, is see who's going to join Gog and Magog. Any leftover rebellion. To gather them together for a battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And they came up over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the set apart ones and beloved city. And fire came down from from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet, are. And they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the book of life, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. And the death and the Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone who was found written in the book of life, and if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. And I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. And I, Johanna, saw the set apart city, renewed, Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the heaven saying, See, the booth of Elohim is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor mourning, nor crying, and there shall be no more pain, for the former matters have passed away. And he who was sitting on the throne said, See, I make all matters new. And he said to me, Write, for these words are true and trustworthy. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Aleph and the Tol, the beginning and the end. To the one who thirsts, I shall give of the fountain of water of life without payment. Without payment. The one who overcomes shall inherit all this. The one who overcomes the one who overcomes the one who overcomes shall inherit all this, and I shall be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. So you shall be his children. But as for the cowardly and untrustworthy and the abominable and the murderers and those who whore and drug sorcerers and idolaters and all the false, their part is in the lake which burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. So this is the cowardly, the untrustworthy. So if you find yourself to be cowardly and untrustworthy and an abominable, saying abominable things, eating abominable things, you're in a habit of unaliving people. You're in a habit of being, of whoring. You're in a habit of drug sorcery and and being an idolater and everything false, just false witnessing and being false everything. Your part is in the lake which burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. And one of the seven messengers who held the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues came to me and spoke with me, saying, come, I shall show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the set apart Jerusalem, descending out of the heaven from Elohim, having the esteem of Elohim, and her light was like a most precious stone, like jasper stone, and clear as crystal. And having a great and high wall, having 12 gates, and at the gates 12 messengers, and names written on them, which are those of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 emissaries of the Lamb. These are the disciples. So these were the original. You got the original 12, the names of the 12 children of Jacob, of Israel. And then you have the 12 disciples of the Lamb. This is to pay homage to those who started this. And he who spoke with me had gold measuring rod to measure the city and its gates and its wall. And the city lies four cornered, and its length is a great as its breadth. And he measured the city with the rod, 12,000 stadia. The length and its breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured its wall, 144 forearms, according to the measure of a man, that is, of a messenger. And the structure of its wall was jasper, and the city was clean gold, like clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stone. And the first foundations jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth ruby, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each one of the gates was a single pearl, and the street of the city was clean gold like transparent glass. And I saw no dwelling place in it, for Yahuwah El Shaddai is its dwelling place, and the Lamb. That's it. That's this is a clear example that our place of worship is spiritual now. And it will be spiritual. This is the dwelling place. This is the set apart place. This is the temple. This is what's so called the church. When two or three are gathered in his name, we become that dwelling place. We become wherever it is, wherever we are, even virtually. Wherever we are, we gathered in his name, two or three are gathered in his name, we become that spiritual church, that spiritual building, that spiritual dwelling place, that spiritual place of worship, that spiritual temple, that spiritual congregation, that spiritual assembly. And this is a clear example that this is how it is now, and this is how it's going to be in the kingdom. And I saw no dwelling place in it, for Yahuwah El Shaddai is its dwelling place, and the Lamb. And the city had no need of the sun, nor of the moon, to shine in it. For the esteem of Elohim lightened it, and the Lamb is its lamp. And the nations of those who are saved shall walk in his light, and the sovereigns of the earth bring their esteem into it. And its gates shall not be shut at all by day, for night shall not be there. Night shall not be there, because all darkness is done away with. Don't overlook these words. And they shall bring the esteem and the appreciation of the nations into it. And there shall by no means enter into it whatever is unclean, neither anyone doing abomination and falsehood, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. So nothing unclean and nothing abominable will enter, because if you're doing anything unclean, you're going against what he instructed. If you're doing anything that he considered an abomination, you're going against what he commanded and instructed. Chapter 22. And he showed me a river of water of life, clear as a crystal, coming from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the middle of its streets, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And no longer shall there be any curse, and the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be upon their foreheads. And night shall be no more, and they shall have no need of a lamp or the light of the sun, because Yahuwah Elohim shall give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. And he said to me, These words are trustworthy and true. And Yahuwah, Elohim of the set apart prophets, has sent his messengers to show his servants what has to take place with speed. See, I am coming speedily. Blessed is he who guards the words of the prophecy of this book. And I, Yohanan, that's John, saw and heard these matters. And when I heard and saw, I fell down to worship before the feet of the messenger who showed me these matters. And he said to me, see, do not, for I am your fellow servant and of your brothers, the prophets, and of those who are guarding the words of this book. Worship Elohim. And he said to me, do not seal the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near. He who does wrong, let him do more wrong. He who is filthy, let him be more filthy. He who is righteous, let him be more righteous. He who is set apart, let him be more set apart. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me, to give to each according to his work. I am the Aleph and the Tau, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. But outside are the dogs and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the idolaters, and all who love to do, and all who love and do falsehood. I, Yahushua, have sent my messenger to witness to you these matters in the assembly. I am the root and the offspring of Dawid, the bright and the morning star. And the spirit and the bride say, come. And he who hears, let him say, come. And he who thirsts, come. And he who desires it, take the water of life without pain. For I witness to everyone hearing the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to them, Elohim shall add to him the plagues that are written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part from the book of life, and out of the set apart city which are written in this book. He that bears witness of these matters says, yes, I am coming speedily. Amen. Yes, come, Master Yahushua. The favor of our Master Yahushua Messiah be with the set apart ones. Amen. And that completes the Sabbath Torah teachings of Yahushua, the Sabbath Torah instructions and commands of Yahushua, the Sabbath Torah prophecy of Yahushua, and the Sabbath Torah prophecy of the Revelations. Any comments, any questions before I bless us out? And since we are gathered in your name, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, you are amongst us, you are with us. I ask that you continue to comfort us, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. Comfort those who gather in your name. Send us the comforter. Heal those who gather in your name. Send us healing. Continue to teach us your teachings, your lessons. Demonstrate your demonstrations and your examples. Help us become students of your lessons, your teachings, and make students out of your lessons and your teachings. Make students of others. Help us become spiritual children of your Father through your teachings, through your lessons, through your examples, through your demonstrations. Help us become spiritual children of your Father so we can enter into the kingdom. Help us love our enemies. Help us deny our flesh of what it wants to say, do, and where it wants to go, and what it wants to, who it wants to see and who it wants to be with. Help us have empathy. Help us have compassion. Help us forgive in order to be forgiven. Help us have mercy. Help us be better. Help us do better. Help us eat better. Help us eat clean. What your Father considered clean. Help us treat each other help us honor our parents. Honor our parents and, keep their names honorable, even though they don't carry themselves with honor. Let us honor them. Let us keep their name honorable, even though their actions show otherwise, in order for us to extend our stay in this realm and extend our stay in the spiritual realm when that time comes. Help us pray in secret, fast in secret, do our good deeds for your sick, your poor, your hungry, your thirsty, your fatherless, your prisoners, your widows. Help us do for them in secret. Do all of this in secret. Let it be, Master Yahushua Mashiach, son of Yah. Let it be, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. Yeah, so help us heal. Help us find healing, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. Schizophrenia, whatever the case may be. Help us find healing from that. Help us bring healing. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, send your healing to those who are schizophrenic. So that's that. Heal those who are gathered in your name. Heal those who suffer from that. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. And with that being said, if anyone else, need any healing that's gathered in your name, anyone needs comfort that's gathered in your name, bring them comfort, bring them healing, bring them knowledge, spiritual knowledge, wisdom and understanding, discernment. Bring them self-discipline, repentance to rule over their flesh. Let it be, Master Yahushua Mashiach. Let it be. Any more comments, any more questions before I bless us out? Appreciate the follow, man. Y'all bless you. May y'all bless you for the follow. If there's no other comments or questions, I'm going to bless us out. According to the blessing that was given to Moshe to bless the people in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 23 to 26. Receive your blessing. May Yahuwah bless you and guard you. May Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. May Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Till next time, peace, love, and shalom. Shabbat shalom, peace, and love.